Okay, let's dive right into this. Have you ever been told you're just too sensitive? Or maybe that you need to toughen up? Well, what if I told you it might have nothing to do with your personality and everything to do with how your brain is actually wired? Today, we are exploring sensory processing sensitivity. You know the feeling, right? You get home from a party or a big meeting, and you're not just tired. You are completely wiped out, drained, almost like you're coming down with something. We call that a social hangover, and believe me, it is a major clue that something much deeper is going on. So, here's the scientific term for it: sensory processing sensitivity, or SPS for short. And this is absolutely crucial. This is not a disorder. It's not a flaw. It's a biological trait. It just means your brain is built from the ground up to take in and process way more information, more subtleties from the world around you, than the average person's brain does. And if this is starting to sound familiar, you are definitely not alone. In fact, psychology tells us that about 1 in 5 people, that's 20% of the population, has this trait. So what does it really mean to have a brain that's just wired a little differently? Well, for starters, this isn't some bug in our modern software. It's actually an ancient feature. This kind of wiring was a genuine survival advantage for our ancestors. Right, think about it like this. People with SPS were the watchmen of the tribe. They were the ones who would notice the tiny, almost imperceptible things, that twig snapping just out of sight, a subtle shift in the wind, or the slight change in a stranger's tone. They were the early warning system. And that same wiring is still running in our brains today. It's just dealing with a much, much louder world. So, how does this ancient watchman trait actually pop up in our busy modern lives? Let's get into the core signs, and you'll see how they all connect, starting with the most physical one. The first big sign is this constant battle with overstimulation. That social hangover we mentioned, that's your brain hitting cognitive overload. See, you're not just hearing a conversation, you're processing every micro-expression, every little shift in tone, plus the background music, the temperature of the room, all at once. It triggers a real spike in the stress hormone cortisol, and that's what leaves you feeling so physically exhausted. So what's really going on here? Well, it boils down to something called latent inhibition. Most brains have a really strong filter, like a bouncer at a club that just throws out irrelevant data, like the hum of an air conditioner. But a sensitive brain, it has low latent inhibition. That bouncer lets everything in. Every sound, every sight, every sensation is treated as potentially important data that needs to be processed. You can see why things get overwhelming fast. Okay, be honest. Have you ever done this? Slipped away to a quiet place like a bathroom? Not because you had to go, but just to get a couple minutes of nothing? Just sensory peace? That's not you being antisocial. That's your brain screaming for a system reboot. And all that intense processing leads right into sign number 2. You process things very, very deeply. This is exactly why you might feel an almost physical intolerance for small talk. I mean, for a brain that's built to analyze everything, service-level chat about the weather feels like junk food. It takes up a ton of energy to engage with, but gives you absolutely zero nourishment back. But here's the flip side. Here's where it gets really interesting. While you might hate small talk, your deep processing gives you this incredible advantage. You're amazing at reading what's not being said. You notice the tiny hesitation before an answer, the flicker of doubt in someone's eyes, the real meaning behind a silence. And let me tell you, that is a total power move in any conversation. Which brings us directly to sign number 3, sky-high empathy. Neuroscientists have actually found that sensitive people tend to have super active mirror neurons. This means you don't just understand what someone else is feeling, you absorb it. You walk into a room and you can instantly feel the vibe. This emotional osmosis makes you an unbelievably good friend, but you also have to be really careful you don't just become an emotional sponge for everyone around you. Okay, so if you're sitting there nodding along, thinking, yep, that's me, the most important thing to know is you don't need to change your wiring. You just need to manage your energy. You need a system. And here's a really simple one, the SOS protocol. It's a 3-step sensory reset. First, S is for silence. I mean 20 minutes of absolute quiet. No music, no podcasts. Just give your auditory system a total break. Next, O is for observation. Specifically looking at natural repeating patterns like leaves on a tree or ripples on water. It's been shown to be incredibly soothing for a sensitive nervous system. And finally, the last S is for solitude. time completely by yourself, where you don't have to perform or read anyone, which lets those cortisol levels finally drop. So here's that whole protocol as a dead simple checklist. You should think of this as your daily maintenance, seriously. This isn't a luxury. It's what you need to do to keep your system from burning out. Just 20 minutes. That's all it takes to let your brain clear its cache and get a fresh start. Now, once you have a system like this in place to manage the overload, the whole narrative starts to shift. You can stop seeing this trait as some kind of burden you have to deal with and start recognizing it for what it really is, your hidden strength. It's all about reframing sensitivity not as a flaw, but as a feature you can learn to use. So let's be perfectly clear about this. Sensitivity is not weakness. It's the engine that powers your greatest gifts. It's what makes you so incredibly observant. You see the details that everyone else misses. It's the source of your profound empathy. You connect with people on a level most can't. And it's the foundation of your depth, which makes you a creative thinker, an amazing problem solver, and a truly loyal friend. These aren't just little quirks, they're powerful skills. So let's end on this thought. Please don't let a world that's built for the other 80% make you feel like there's something wrong with you. In a world that so often seems to value shallowness, your ability to feel and see and process things on a much deeper level, that is a genuine superpower. Your only job is to protect it. So learn your own signs of overload, use your reset protocol, and know exactly when and how to recharge that very, very powerful battery.